So what is now, are you have shows coming up this summer, spring, summer?
I do, yeah.
Hmm.
A couple for sure set ones are with Hardcastle Clothing. He's a guy out of Fort McMurray.
Oh, okay.
And we actually have a show in Fort McMurray May 3rd, I believe it
Hmm.
is, May 3rd and 4th. And then this weekend at the bike show, actually, we were marketing a lot to push shows, and it sounds like we got a couple other ones.
Hmm.
These ones aren't, I guess, maybe booked and set in stone, but
Hmm.
possibly it's called, it's like a 10-day bike rally in Two Hills, Alberta.
Hmm.
So they were wanting to have freestyle there to kind of draw in a younger crowd. The organizer is, he kind of even said himself, he's probably in his 60s, and he said it's like we have a huge crowd, but he's like, you don't see any young people. So he's like, if we want this to continue, we need to bring in a younger crowd and things like that. So that was kind of their focus there. And then another possible one, I believe this is July. Same with that Two Hills one is also July. Uh, Gasoline Alley, Harley Davidson, they usually do a stunt show. They have like Harley stunts,
Hmm.
except they talked about kind of combining the two and having a Harley stunt show and a freestyle motocross stunt show as well.
Yeah.
So
And Gasoline
those
Alley, that's
are
Red Deer, right?
correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been
Yeah.
there. I used to ride a Harley, two of them.
Oh yeah. So you wouldn't have missed Gasoline Alley.
No, I loved Gasoline Alley. Yeah, it was great. I don't have my bikes anymore. I've lost my confidence a little bit, and it just doesn't appeal to me anymore. But I still love trail riding. But I've done my own stunts on my Harley once or twice.
Yeah.
Not intentionally, was not planned. I won't get into any details. So
Some
what?
little tail drifts or something.
Well, apparently the group that I was riding with said that I had done a successful candy cane.
Okay.
Yeah, which is like you leave the marks on the pavement.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then there was another time too where I did a burnout in my driveway, not intentionally. I opened the throttle and it took off on me, and I tried to hang on to it, which made it worse. And I did a 360 in my driveway and left about 3 inches of an impression in the gravel. Where, yeah,
Hey, that's pretty cool.
well, I didn't really intend to do it, but it just made me realize like the power, like the torque on that bike. Because the more
Yeah.
I tried to hang on, the more I opened the throttle. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what we call whiskey throttle. And the bike's kind of you've it's out of your control, and the
Oh,
bike is taking control at that point.
yeah, it did. It actually kind of scared me, and slowly but surely I was having these near miss events, and I'm like, okay, you know what? It's time. So I just sold them. Yeah, I've
No.
had enough, and I'm getting too old for that. There's probably a lot of people like, "What do you mean you're too old for that?" There's lots of people that ride that are older and stuff, but I don't know. It just doesn't appeal to me anymore. Okay, so we've got some shows coming up. Please let me know how I can support you in that because I will definitely put them all over my social media when it's
For
time.
sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm sure there's going to be shows with Global FMX as well. They've been a big part of my career.
Hmm.
They're based out of Kelowna, BC, and they do
Mm.
shows all over BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. They definitely have told me it's going to be a busy year, but I just don't have exact dates and things from them
Yeah.
yet. So
Well, I'll
maybe
definitely
when
be
we're out.
I'll be watching because I'm very close to Kelowna. I live in southern BC, so that's why I was able to attend the Penticton show, and I absolutely loved it. And I'll definitely go to
For
another
sure.
one if I know where, and when. And then yeah, and then
Awesome.
that was a chance that I got to witness and observe Doug. Is it Dennis?
Doug Denance, I think.
Dennis,
Yeah,
yeah. What an amazing
Denance. I think that's how you
commentator.
pronounce it. Oh, he is for sure. I know. I was fortunate enough that he actually announced at my very first show,
Oh,
and
that
yeah,
must have been
right
the one
away
I
he's like,
watched on Instagram.
Yep, it was in Airdrie
Mm-hmm.
in 2022 with
Mm-hmm.
Billy Kohut. Yeah, and I kind of had to like weasel my way in there for my first show.
Mm-hmm.
I had the opportunity to ride with him about 2 weeks prior to that,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have a lot of tricks. Like guys kind of say, you need to have like about 10 tricks to ride a show, and I wasn't quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But my friend Duff Moto, he he had just started his business,
Mm-hmm.
and he was getting a booth at this show.
Mm-hmm.
So my take at Billy was I was like, hey, my bike is going to be there anyways because we're showing it off. So like, can I ride with you?
Mm-hmm.
And he, being the farmer that he is, he didn't really even give me a straight answer. He just said, he's like, bring your gear and we'll see, kind of thing. So that was
Mm-hmm.
how I got into my first show.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, thankfully Doug was there because Doug is an amazing commentator.
Yeah.
And as soon as I heard his voice and got to meet him, I definitely knew I had heard him before,
Mm-hmm.
probably at Monster Jam when I was a kid, things
Mm.
like that.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool to have him asking me questions about myself and
Mm-hmm.
announcing my name. So
Yeah.
that was very cool.
Yeah.
Doug is definitely one of the best
It
in the game.
actually, I'll just be very vulnerable here. It actually kind of made me emotional at the Penticton show because he really puts his heart into it and he knew all of the riders, like some very personal details about the riders, which to me shows that he actually really does care. You know what I mean? It's not just a job for him. It's like he like lives it.
He does, and
Hmm.
he told me this himself. Like these are his words. He said he loves announcing freestyle because he is a genuine fan. He just
Oh,
loves freestyle,
yeah.
and that's why he said it's so easy for him to announce it because he actually loves it and loves watching it and loves meeting us.
Yeah.
Whereas, I'm not going to knock on like monster trucks or anything, but he said he's
Hmm.
like it feels more like a job when he's announcing monster trucks
Hmm.
compared to freestyle. He's just a genuine fan and an amazing
Yeah.
commentator. So it just flows really well for him.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And that's why I was really stoked about this interview as well because man, I love freestyle so much. And even like all of it, like downhill mountain biking and BMX and skateboarding, like it's just I don't know what it is, but I absolutely love it. But I won't be signing up anytime soon, just so you know. I don't Yeah, I'll live
That's
vicariously.
fair.
I'll live vicariously through all of you guys, right? Because seriously, like your alter ego thinks about what would that actually be like to live that lifestyle, and it is very exciting. And then so when it comes to
Yeah.
practice, I've noticed some of your videos are, like you said, on somebody's acreage. Is that your acreage that you guys are practicing on?
No, unfortunately, I don't have my own spot,
Hmm.
so that's definitely been one of the biggest
Yeah,
challenges coming up and learning. Is I always have to go somewhere.
yeah.
But as I gained that respect in the community, those doors start to open up a lot more. Whereas especially 4 years ago, it would be hard for me
Hmm.
to find a place to go ride, and now I have a handful of them. There's still, I have to drive a bit. Like my
Yeah.
favorite place to go is Cody Matichuk's. He lives in Cochrane,
Okay.
so it's
Hmm.
about an hour, just over an hour drive for me.
Oh, okay.
But Cody takes the sport very seriously as well. So
Hmm.
his setup is very, very in tune,
Yeah.
and all the correct ramps and distances. And then just having Cody on its own is huge.
Great
He's an
mentor.
amazing teacher himself.
Yeah.
He is very, very good. He has like a mindset like no other because he's in all sorts of avenues of extreme sports.
Yeah,
So
I've been watching his
uh,
squirrel suit videos, which is a whole
yeah,
nother level.
it really
It
is.
really
Yeah,
is.
no, and that's why I don't. He even warned me when we first started riding together because we were pretty much on the same playing field when we first started riding freestyle,
Hmm.
and he is ages ahead of me now, which is okay. And he even warned me when we started riding together. He said, "Don't be discouraged by my progression compared to yours," because he says he's started sports with people before,
Hmm.
and then he just keeps going with it, and it kind of discourages maybe the like myself,
Yeah.
like for example. But I definitely don't let that bum me out or anything. I
Hmm.
just am thankful that he's a friend and that he's willing to teach me everything he knows. So
Yeah, that is such good advice because I mean that pretty much falls under everything. Like I even compare myself to other podcasters or other public speakers and I'm like, "Dang, like I want what they have." But the part that
yeah,
yeah, but the part that you don't see is all the tiny measurable action steps that get you to the big goal. Everybody always looks at the
yeah,
end result and goes, "Oh, I want that," but they forget about everything that is involved in between, which is practice,
yeah,
the mindset, the
practice
grounding, the physical fitness. So that's excellent that you can go to Cody's and practice with a mentor like him.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah. And then, so
thankful to
with that
have him.
being said, there's a funny story that I remember a long time ago, and hopefully I got this right. But the skateboarder Tony Hawk,
Hmm.
yeah, they did an interview with his wife one time, and it was really funny because they, on their property, him and his friends were building these half pipes and she could see it from the kitchen window while she was doing dishes. And she said it gave her anxiety every single time that him and the guys would get together and do their tricks and invent new ones. And there was always crashes and stuff. So she would have this kitchen window view of the half pipe. And I'm just curious about your fiance. Like, how does she? How it like she seems like she's very supportive of your sport. She
She
travels with
is,
you.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, when she can, for sure.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I couldn't ask for better support from her for sure. It maybe was a bit of a shock when I told her I wanted to quit my job and do it, but
Oh, yeah.
after that, it was no. She is 100% supportive,
Mhm,
and yeah, I couldn't ask for better on that. She used to ride herself. We in our earlier in our relationship,
mhm.
she rode as well,
Mm,
and then I started kind of focusing on freestyle, and then she was obviously not gonna come learn that, so she was going to the moto track with her friends and stuff.
uh,
So as much as we did the same sport together, it kind of divided us a little bit in that sense.
mhm.
And then now she's kind of gone back to her passion of horses. So
Yeah,
she doesn't
I
have
was
a
gonna
bike
mention.
anymore.
I
Yeah,
was gonna mention
as
that.
much as she still wants a bike,
Yeah.
it's just not in the playing cards right now. So she
Mhm.
has her sport, and I have mine.
Yeah. Is
And
it a little bit taxing on the relationship though, always being away and then because you work away for work. You leave for work as well, right? Like you work out of town? Yeah.
yes, I do. Uh, so that kind of helps, I guess,
Mhm.
if getting used to the being away part. I
Mm,
guess
mhm.
that's it's not really new to us because I've left for
Yeah.
work in the past and now.
Yeah.
So when I go on the road for dirt biking, it's kind of the similar
It's a
feeling.
similar feeling. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
if there
excellent.
is
Yeah.
if there is something maybe a smaller show or
Mhm.
something, she definitely loves to come with.
Mhm.
But usually, if I'm headed to BC, it's for a minimum of a week, sometimes 2 weeks.
Mm.
So it's hard for her to take that much time off. She's a nurse,
Oh,
and
wow.
then also be away from her horses,
Yeah,
which it's easy to maybe find someone
yeah.
to check on them for a weekend, but
Mhm.
not really for a week or two. It
Yeah,
gets a bit challenging.
yeah.
So
Well, it's nice to hear, Brady, that you guys have a good, what's the word? Like a bond, right? A communication. You know what's expected. Because that can be
yeah,
a little bit taxing on relationships, always being away. And I know because I worked in the oil field, I was always living out of a duffel bag, so it was hard
yeah,
on some people. But it's nice to hear that she's okay with it and she supports you. That it doesn't get better
yeah,
than that.
yeah. No, you can't do it without a good team, and I definitely have one of those.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, so she's the horse lady? I love her already because 'cause I'm a
Yeah,
horse lady too. Yeah,
yeah, she does. She's got three
yeah.
horses. So
So, I did see a video. It was really cute. It was so funny where you went for the motorcycle boots, and then you went back to the cowboy boots, and you're like, "Yes, I actually do own a
yeah,
pair of these." So you don't ride very often then? That was your, like, yearly annual ride?
for sure. I try to do it maybe more than once a
Yeah,
year, but in reality, it's once or twice a year usually.
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, the boots thing I was kind of playing off of something. I'm trying to stay relevant with content creation and things. So
Yeah.
no matter what I'm doing, I try and think of something I can do
Mhm.
to make an Instagram post about it.
Yeah,
And
no, it was
that
great.
was
I
kind of
loved
a
it. It was one of
fun
my
one.
favorites. And,
Yeah.
so did you find 6th gear with the horse or that's
maybe second, maybe second gear.
yeah. Do
Yeah.
they scare you a little bit?
I'm getting better with them, but yeah, they've definitely made me nervous in the past.
Yeah.
And in the past couple of years, I've definitely gotten a lot more comfortable with them. And
Yeah,
not necessarily the riding them; that part hasn't scared me. I haven't had any scares or anything,
mhm,
but just being around them, their sheer size
for sure.
and their ability is intimidating. But I've kind of being around them more and feeding them all the time,
Mhm.
and now I'm confident enough. I put their blankets on and
Aw,
off when Becca asks me to. So
yeah.
the confidence has definitely grown in the past few years with the horses.
Yeah. And it just goes back to that risk tolerance awareness, right? Like we talk about this all the time. Like, what's your risk compared to my risk? Like, I don't see the horses as a risk because I've been around them my whole life, but I would
Yeah,
definitely not attempt to leave the ground on a motorcycle. So, um,
yeah,
and it goes to show too, like with risk tolerance awareness, where somebody will invest $5,000 in the stock market but they won't jump out of an airplane. Like they won't parachute out of an airplane or bungee jump. But then the bungee jumper won't invest $5,000 into the stock market. So when you talk about risk tolerance awareness, it's really, really interesting to go into people's lives and have a look at what you consider a risk, what I consider a risk. And she's probably been around horses her whole life, so she's comfortable. Yeah, I love it.
yeah, for sure. It's a big
Mhm.
perspective thing for sure, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's your perspective on that race.
Yeah, putting too much trust into your equipment.